So we've welcomed you. You've silenced your phones. You know that the hashtag is DisinfoWeek. You know that you can follow us at Disinfo Portal. And now we can get started. And again, please do note that we have cards running around for you to ask any questions that you may have throughout the session. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome Valentinos Tzekas for his discussion on fighting hoaxes in Greece.
Hi everyone. So, before I begin what our job at FightHoax is and what we do and present two interesting studies that we conducted together with our partners, I want to take a step back and reminisce a time when I was a kid and my father was, and still is, a photojournalist in a local newspaper back in my hometown in Greece. So for countless days, I do remember him taking me to the newsroom, days and nights, so I can observe how information is being gathered and how everything goes to creating a super interesting paper that people are going to buy, that people are going to discuss. And of course, it was really interesting and I was really eager to observe how all these journalists act in this jungle and how journalists can grab your attention and profit from it. And of course, at the same time, form reading habits to us. And I did remain curious. So fast forward to 2016, we all know that the US elections basically got the world shook. It was, for me at least, it was the very first time that I saw how technology can really impact the way that humans think, the way that humans debate, the way that humans vote. And I do remember that hoaxes and extreme opinions started to emerge from basically everywhere. We hit all-time high records, so I was really disturbed by all these hoaxes and the misdirected articles that went viral. So one day I sat down and tried a brain teaser. I was thinking that we were losing this war against knowledge and we're losing the war against common logic. And I was feeling really bad, so how could I create an automated algorithm to perform all these complex steps that humans, that journalists, that fact-checkers do in order to extract actionable insights and at the same time filter out harmful content, extreme opinion, disinformation, and potential misinformation articles? At first, it seemed really impossible. I mean, think about this. We have super limited human capabilities against machines. And even we humans can't even agree on what is true, what is false, what is an opinion, what is a fact. But then I realized that machines with the proper data sets and with the proper training, you can make them have no feelings, no biases, and of course, they can judge some aspects of news articles actually better than humans do, with the right training, of course. So, after almost 3 years of hard work, FightHoax is capable of reading, analyzing, and deeply understanding thousands of news articles in just a few minutes. We are on a mission to help brands and advertising companies filter out harmful news content from their campaigns, such as fake news, extreme opinion, low quality and poor content. And in this way, we are able to cut the revenue motives, the advertising revenue motives of the bad actors that create low quality content or fake news to get their advertising revenue from it. We have recently raised our second round of investment, so I'm suggesting reading this interview we did with Forbes. So over the past few years, we have been closely working with news agencies, academic institutions, and organizations all over the world, doing some large-scale media landscape research on a number of important issues. The very first case study that we conducted together with the Athens newspaper in Greece, we analyzed a number of both foreign and local news articles that covered the recent firm name change negotiations during 2018. The majority of the firm name change coverage news pieces came from center-left-leaning political sources, and the reportage started from mainly world-known sources and press agencies, but as the time was passing by, we saw more small, unknown, and local news organizations to cover the topic deeply. The rise of the reportage from many unknown sources may mean that the danger of fake news rumors and extreme opinions is really high. And this theory got confirmed basically because at the same time, 48% of the authors had a known digital footprint. This means that the names were completely made up with no social, Wikipedia, or historic footprint. After that, we discovered that the very first actions towards solving the firm name started around January 2018. The articles had an overall feeling of joy, and I do remember a lot of people saying that, all right, we're going to solve this problem, we're going to find a name, and everyone's going to be happy. So as the months were passing by, feelings of sadness and anger conquered the landscape. People got angry and protested. We all remember that. At last, we tracked the most mentioned entities and keywords, so we can actually see how the topic evolved month by month. The interesting part here is that the journalists from the Athens newspapers observed this chart and they tried to predict what the name, the proposed name, is going to be. So they said, all right, I see a spike of mentions right before June, so the name is definitely going to have the word Macedonia in it, and they were right. So this is a really interesting study to see how technology can analyze thousands and thousands of news articles day by day and assist humans on their research and try to predict what is coming next. The second study that we conducted was a really interesting one because we have discovered just 10 articles with more than 3 billion impressions combined on several news networks. All these articles were completely fabricated, fake news, with completely fabricated information. They had 3 billion clicks in total, and no organization, no fact-checking organization or journalist has come out until today to fact-check it as completely hoaxes. So until today, all these 10 articles exist out there and people keep sharing that. Some short information about this is that all these articles were super short in length. They had no author signature, and most of them were using an excessive language that caused feelings of anger, sadness, and disgust. And of course, almost every article talked about politicians, political developments, and huge companies like Apple and Tesla. So what we observe here is that misinformation, propaganda, of course disinformation and extreme opinions, hate speech, does not only affects minds and votes, but at the same time it affects the life of many people, their health, and even the stock market. The huge issue that we all face right now in the age of the internet is that we are against enormous amounts of data compared to the reduced human potential at time. Back in the old days, people relied on journalists to discard fake content, and properly report the news that people wanted to read the most. So nowadays, I do believe that anyone can be considered a journalist. Anyone can write a small blog piece, an article, even a social network post, advertise it with a little or no money, and get thousands and even millions of clicks in less than 24 hours. So I'm trying to conclude here and say that the true meaning of the teacher is lost nowadays. Journalists, media companies, and social networks are the teachers, are the new teacher of the masses, of this new generation. And just think about this. Right now, right here, we're about 400 people talking about ideas, discussing about social issues that we all face. But when a journalist appears on a TV or even on the social networks, millions and millions of people listen to him, whatever he or she is saying. And of course, technology is amplifying this effect. So keeping this as food for thought, I would really like to thank you and proceed to the next panel. Thank you.